Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rerolled Reviews. My name is Rick May, and today we're not doing a review, we're doing a product overview for Dice Throne. And the reason why I chose to do this is because there are plenty of great review videos out there for Dice Throne and how to play videos for Dice Throne. If you want to look those up, just go to YouTube and search for how to play Dice Throne, and you'll find a lot of great videos, including one of my all-time favorites, this one right here. And it's a little bit dated because it's still based on the original version of season one, which if you're wondering what I'm talking about there, we'll get to that in a second. However, still, I feel the production value very high, very solid overview of the game and how to play it, and will give you a good idea of whether this game is for you or your friend or family member or not. There's also the great Rodney Smith that does a how to play video for Dice Throne Season 2, but really it's just how to play Dice Throne. And then Becca Scott on Game the Game. She also does a great overview of how to play, also using Season 2, but also very applicable to any Dice Throne season you pick up. So those are some resources for you, but what we wanted to do today was kind of bounce between the dicethrone.com page, which is where you can buy all things Dice Throne, and also we're going to go to Board Game Geek a little bit and even a Kickstarter page to kind of get an idea of what's out there and where you should start. And as a general overview, let's take a look at products that are available here. And there are three things we'll talk about that are strictly Dice Throne, which is Dice Throne Season 1 Rerolled, Dice Throne Season 2, and Dice Throne Adventures. Both Season 1 Rerolled and Season 2 are comprised of heroes that you can play the original game with, and Dice Throne Adventures being a solo co-op mode that you can take those same heroes through. There is also Marvel Dice Throne, which you see behind me here, just at the time of this filming, was just recently launched on Kickstarter. And depending on when you're watching this video, you may still be able to pick up that game on Kickstarter, get the limited edition battle chest, or you may be looking at picking it up retail or off of dicethrone.com. So one thing you'll notice right away when we talk about the different seasons here, season 1 and season 2, we have season 1 rerolled. And the reason for that is there is the original season 1, the original game that was launched by Nate Chatelier and Manny Tremblay back in 2017-ish under their company Mind Bottling Games. And it was a very successful Kickstarter. The season 1 box of the original Dice Throne included 6 different heroes: the Barbarian, Moon Elf, Monk, Pyromancer, Paladin, and Shadow Thief, all in one self-contained box. Now later on, they partnered with Roxley Games, and so you'll also find versions of Dice Throne Season 1 that have the Roxley logo in the bottom right corner. However, both of those are absolutely identical to one another. There is no difference. It was just one was published under the initial company that Nate and Manny founded, and the other copies were published by Roxley Games after the partnership with them was formed. The only other major difference you'll see with Dice Throne Season 1 is you'll hear about Champion Edition. And we'll use the term Champion Edition throughout this video, and just know the only difference between a Champion Edition of Dice Throne and a retail or standard edition of Dice Throne is the dice. So if you get the Champion Edition of Dice Throne, you're going to get these really cool marbled or swirly dice included. Whereas if you're just getting the standard version, they're just not fancy dice. So there's the marbled, there's the standard. Again, for your viewing pleasure, marbled, Very cool looking, has a little bit more shine to them, and then you've got your regular edition. The other thing I want to do as we're looking at this is look at the original season one. Here you can kind of see an angle of the player board with a couple of upgrades already placed onto it. The deck of cards back here with the character logo on the back, health dial, CP dial, a couple of status effect tokens, the leaflet, the dice. All of those comprise the components for Dice Throne, and all of those fit nicely in the season one box. The boards and the leaflets had to sit on top of the little trays that held the dice, the CP dial, the health dial, the cards, and the status effect tokens. They had one of those little trays for each hero, so it was almost completely self-contained, but not quite. And the other thing, if you do find a copy of Dice Throne Season 1 out in the aftermarket, because I think I might have forgot to mention, the original Season 1 is no longer in print. So the only way that you're finding this is on the aftermarket. But the thing that I will point out too is the storage system was great, except if you didn't keep the original punch board and put that underneath your trays at the bottom, it gave just enough space to where if you turn that box sideways or upside down, typically what would happen is all your little status effect tokens would fall out of their trays and get all jumbled together and mixed up together. And then because everything's in one box, you're having to sort that stuff out after you open the box. So that was one of the downsides to the storage of season one, but that changed. Again, you might have heard me mention, originally this was just Nate and Manny on their own producing this game. And then they partnered with Gavin Brown and Roxley Games. And Gavin had a vision for the game of how he could take this from a graphic design perspective and kick it up a notch. So that is what I mean when we talk about the original Dice Throne Season 1 versus Season 1 Rerolled. Because shortly after the launch of Season 1, they partnered with Roxley to launch Season 2, and it had a completely revised design to everything. And I'll go over all the changes that happened. But I think that we go back here and we go back to our Dice Throne shop. I'm going to see if we can see it just by going and clicking on the Season 2 battle chest. Yes. So, in fact, even better yet, let me go back here because the changes carried over to Season 1 Rerolled. So we were looking at some of the components before, and of course this is a top view, but you can see some differences that occurred. Number one, the board is slightly differently shaped, and it's a trifold board. So it folds up really nicely. And along with the leaflet and all the other player components, they fit in a single tray that was designed by Game Trays. So that definitely makes storage a little bit better. The other thing is there's art now on pretty much every hero ability on the board, and there's art on all the cards. The cards also on the backside, instead of having a picture of the character, it is now just all of them have the standard flaming die on the back. And that was done to kind of lead the way to Dice Throne Adventures, that co-op solo mode that I told you that you can add on. And we'll get to that a little bit later about why that standard back is important for that. Also, the dice went from being all white numbers and symbols on each side of them to now different colors. So we're looking at the barbarian here. Now his hearts are pink. The POW is a gold color, and then the swords are white. And the reason for that, I believe, is when you look at the board and you're trying to identify what you can activate with these dice, it makes it a little bit more visually clear because you're not only seeing the symbols, your brain's also seeing the colors and matching those things up. So those were all the changes that occurred with Season 2, and of course, when they relaunched Season 1 to match that you get. Now, Season 1 compared to Season 1 Rerolled specifically. I mentioned that in the original Season 1 box, there were 6 heroes. They did add an additional 2 heroes to the Season 1 Rerolled, that being the Ninja and the Treant. Brand new heroes in that box, so that it took that battle chest, this particular storage system here, up to 8 heroes to match what they did with Season 2. The only other change to Season 1, they did take this opportunity to make some very minor tweaks to the different heroes, at least a good portion of them. I don't think Barbarian was touched at all. Shadow Thief had some significant changes to him, but it really doesn't matter unless you're going into a tournament situation where the tournament master says, hey, the original Season 1 is not allowed. You have to have Season 1 rerolled characters if you're going to play. Then it doesn't matter. Yes, they did make some tweaks. However, you can still take the original Season 1. It's still completely compatible with all things Dice Throne, so you don't have to worry about that. So you have these 8 heroes that came with Season 1 rerolled, and going back to the shop, we look at the battle chest for Season 2. We added 8 heroes with Season 2, that being the Gunslinger, the Samurai, the Tactician, the Huntress, the Cursed Pirate, Artificer, Seraph, and Vampire Lord are all included in that set. Now, the other significant thing that happened when they partnered with Roxley is you do have the all-in-one box, which they call the Battle Chest, which are always Champion Edition, by the way, always have the swirly dice. But they also released the game in a retail format with 2 hero boxes, so that it's easier for new players to kind of dip their foot in the pool, so to speak, because you don't have to spend the money to buy a whole battle chest of 8 heroes if you're not sure. You can buy a 2 hero battle box. And if that's the route you want to go, if you're not quite sure yet, or if you're shopping for somebody and you're like, wow, I love that person, but I don't love them $94 worth, you can get them one of these battle boxes to get them started. And the 2 that I recommend is from Season 1 Rerolled, the Barbarian and the Moon Elf, and from Season 2, the Samurai and the Gunslinger. And the reason why I recommend these boxes is each of these heroes has a complexity rating, which defines how difficult they are to learn and master. And these 4 guys are the lower complexity. But the Barbarian's a complexity 1. The rest of them are complexity 2. So they're easier to get started. So if you're just going to get one box, probably get one of those for starters. And then if you decide to expand, you can obviously buy more individual battle boxes, pick up hero boxes that you are interested in, or you can make the leap to the battle chest. Now, the thing I wanted to point out too is you could take this piecemeal. Say, again, you still don't really feel like you have the ability to drop $94 on one of these battle chests. You can get the character boxes, the 2 hero boxes, one at a time, and then if you so choose, the Dice Throne store also has an empty Season 1 and empty Season 2 battle chest. So if you want to convert to that all-in-one storage, you can get that separately. Granted, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive to go that route, but it does allow you to get a little bit at a time, which, depending on your situation, might be more helpful. The other thing I just want to point out, these battle boxes, I mentioned that they're retail. While you can buy them on the dicethrone.com website, you can also get them at online retailers. You can get them from your friendly local game store. If they don't have them on the shelf, ask them. Chances are good that as long as a print run has copies available, they'll be able to order some from their local distributor. But the thing you need to know too is these battle boxes have the flat colored dice versus the marbled dice that come in the battle chest. The only exception that I see is they do have the Treant Ninja box Champion Edition. So that tells me this is going to have the swirly dice in it, whereas this one is not. But if you don't care about the dice being fancy, it doesn't really matter which one you get. However, if you do care about the dice being fancy and you want to go piecemeal, just know there is, at least currently, no way to just order the swirly dice for your heroes. So, something to consider as you do your shopping. Another question that comes up is, can I play season 1 characters with season 2 and vice versa? And the answer is yes. This is just like those fighting games back in the day, like Street Fighter and Tekken. And as you went along, they started adding more and more characters that you could play with, giving you more variety that you could work with. And so that's really all this is. You're just adding more heroes, more possible variety to choose from, and there's no difference. Now, before we jump into Dice Throne Adventures and also some of the accessories, I want to flip over to Marvel Dice Throne. That's their, at least at the time of this recording, their most recent project. And this also came in battle chest form with 8 Marvel themed heroes. You had Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Loki, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Black Panther, Black Widow, and Captain Marvel. Right now, the Kickstarter has ended. However, at the moment, there's still a chance to late pledge on BackerKit. And the main reason that you would want to do that is that unlike the former battle chests that we mentioned, where there's only one version of them, the Kickstarter version of Marvel Dice Throne Battle Chest is a limited edition battle chest, which means the only way that you're going to get it is through the Kickstarter, through a late pledge, or get lucky and go to a con where Dice Throne is present and pick it up from them there. Other than that, no luck. And if you're wondering, well, what's the difference between the limited edition battle chest that I can possibly get versus just the regular battle chest? The difference is that you get some exclusives. Number one, Thor, of course, has a hammer, and it's one of his status effect tokens, and or actually a companion to get specific. There's a zinc metal Mjolnir hammer, really cool with the etching there of whosoever possesses this hammer, if he be worthy, has the power of Thor. Also, limited edition numbering, so it's kind of a collector's item. It's going to be something that probably is going to be more valuable in the future, I would think. And then you have these synthetic cards for Loki. These are specific to one of his abilities that's going to get used a lot, so they made synth cards. And colored character trays. Normally these character trays are just black. This one also has some different colors to go with the color scheme of the Marvel heroes. So if those things are important to you and there's still a chance to jump on the limited edition, do it. If that's not something that matters to you, you will be able to get the standard edition battle chest, which will still have, it'll still be champion edition technically and still have the swirly dice. Also, you can get it retail. The retail will be handled by USAopoly, which was a partner in the production of this game. Just going to scroll all the way down, almost all the way down. So you're going to have 3 different retail boxes that will eventually come to be. And you'll have one box with 4 heroes in it, and then 2 boxes that have 2 heroes apiece, which I think is kind of cool because this gives you can still do the more economical, I'm just going to get a 2 hero box. And by the way, if you're going to do that, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, lowest complexity heroes in this set, good starter box. But you can also say, man, I'd like a little bit more than just 2 to start, and you can get 4, so it's kind of a halfway point. So I think that's neat. So that is Marvel Dice Throne. Let's go back to the Dice Throne store. And the last product, as far as game product that we have to talk about, is Dice Throne Adventures. And as mentioned, this is an expansion where you can take heroes from the other seasons and you can play them in a solo or co-op adventure mode. You may ask, are there heroes included? No, there are no heroes included in this box. This is not a standalone. You need to buy heroes to be able to take into adventures, which may lead you to ask, well, why $80? That seems like a lot. That is because there is a lot of stuff in this box. There are lots of cards, tiles, minion cards, boss sets, which are basically like the same as heroes. They've got a player board and leaflet and all that stuff. Dice. There's a lot in this box. $80 is not unreasonable for all that you're getting in the box. Not to mention, with 8 different scenarios, 4 portal crawls, 4 boss fights, this is going to keep you going for a little while. There's also different difficulty levels in the game, and as you go through, you can unlock little legacy packs that add more stuff to the game. This is not going to be something that is going to grow old really quick. There's a lot of content here, and there's a lot of replayability built in, which I think is going to make it more than worth the $80 price point. But that is Dice Throne Adventures. And if you don't really like co-op, or you don't need like some way to play the game solo, you can probably skip it. But I know a lot of people, one of the things that kept them away from Dice Throne is they didn't like the head-to-head competitive nature of the original game. So the cooperative opportunity made Dice Throne something that they wanted to play. And by the way, rewinding a little bit, Marvel Dice Throne, completely compatible with everything in the Dice Throne ecosystem. So works with everything here. Let's get into accessories. So all the stuff that I'm going to show you now is not necessary whatsoever for you to play Dice Throne in any form. These are nice to haves, not need to haves. If anything, I would say the most need to have of the nice to haves would be the card sleeves for the heroes. So you've got a set for the original 6, and then for the extra 2 that got added with Rerolled, the Season 2 heroes, and then for the boss cards that come in Dice Throne Adventures, you got sleeves for them. There's 50 in each pack, which is more than enough if you're just playing regular Dice Throne, because most decks are going to have around 33 cards. If you play Dice Throne Adventures, you can add loot to your deck, and so you'll have plenty enough sleeves to sleeve the loot cards into your deck, because there is a 50 card deck limit in Dice Throne Adventures. And that, by the way, oh my gosh, forgot to mention, that's why they went to the standard back cards with Season 2 and then Season 1 Rerolled, is because then, even if you don't sleeve your cards, even if you clear sleeve them, the loot cards in Dice Throne Adventures have that standard back, so you can seamlessly integrate them. Now, if you've got the original Season 1, which has the hero art on the backs of the cards, and you don't have the sleeves, or you clear sleeve them, you can still kind of get around that by doing a bottom draw of the deck. But that is a thing to consider. So sleeves are good. You do a lot of shuffling of cards, a lot of handling of the cards. This is a good investment to keep your cards lasting longer, keep your cards in good condition for longer. And it's got the really cool artwork on the back of them. Now, again, you don't need them. In fact, you can even sleeve your game in regular clear sleeves from a brand of your choice. I would encourage you to do that if you don't want to get these just to protect your game, but you don't have to. Next thing is the playmats. These are really large playmats. If you're used to playmats from, say, Magic the Gathering, these are significantly larger than them and a little bit thicker than them. Stitched edging on these playmats, and they are large enough for you to take one player's components and put them on the playmat with a little bit of room to spare. They don't do anything functionally for you other than they give you a nice surface to play on, kind of keeps your game components off the table that you're playing on, which is kind of nice. And because they're padded, you can roll dice on them a little bit more easily. But you would want to have one of these for each player. So you've got the season 1 heroes each have playmat with their art, season 2 same thing, and then you have a season 1 montage, a season 2 montage, and a Dice Run Adventures montage. And I guess too, oh, I'm sorry, minimalist. I guess too, if you really wanted to, you could also use one of these playmats to put the when you're doing the portal crawls and Dice Run Adventures or the boss fights, you could put that stuff on this mat, and that would work. Also, speaking of Dice Run Adventures, we have minis. So Dice Run Adventures comes with cardboard standees. You don't need these minis, but they're cool. And you have options whether you want to do painted minis or unpainted. And if you are really good at painting minis, I would say get the unpainted ones because nobody's going to be able to do better painting a mini than a human being with really good skills. The factory painted minis, they look great, but again, you can't compare to somebody who is great with painting minis. But they still, just looking at them on the table, they look fantastic. So totally up to you there. It's a little bit less expensive to get the unpainted minis. So there's that. Dice trays. We have this purple dice tray with the red flaming die. There's also or orange flaming die, I guess. There's also a red dice tray with the Mad King as the logo on the tray. These are nice to be able to roll your dice in and not have them going all over the place. I have both trays because, well, I've got just pretty much everything dice thrown, so it was a thing I had to do. There's also for Dice Run Adventures these D20s, semi-precious stone. So you have choices between the cat's eye here, purple cat's eye. This is obsidian, hematite, and then this last one is howlite. And those are $30 a piece. Not $30 for all four, $30 a piece because those are really high quality. They are very hefty in your hand. They're very weighty, but definitely fun to roll and very cool to add to your set. Again, Dice Run Adventures itself uses D20s, but it comes with 4 D20s, so each player can have one, but they're just resin D20s, not these nice precious stone D20s. And we mentioned the empty battle chest earlier. If you need to replace your battle chest, or if you want to get the 2 hero battle boxes and then eventually upgrade to a battle chest. Next thing here on the site is promos. There's promos for season 1 and season 2. The promos include one card for each of the heroes in that set, and they all work the same way. They cost 0 CP. You roll 1 die. On a 6, you get some cool stuff. On a 1 through 5, you get to draw a card. So you really, you can't lose. It's always you get something with them. The other thing that it includes is these randomizer cards. So this is what the backs of them look like. This is what the front of them look like. Oh, I just realized you can't see my cursor. So the back is the Mad King with the dice floating around, Infinity Stone style. The fronts look exactly like the art from the character sleeves. The reason you would use these is you can't decide who you want to play. Just shuffle up the randomizers, pick a card at random, and that's who you're playing as. The promo pack for Dice Throne Adventures includes a bunch more loot cards. It also includes some additional minions that you can add to your set. And then swag wise, you've got this vinyl carrying bag, which is pretty nice, especially if you own a lot of stuff and you want to easily transport it. We've been doing these Dice Throne's been doing these limited edition print posters, and right now the Paladin is available. There was Pyromancer and Shadow Thief, but the availability for those have already passed. And then T-shirts. We've had both adult size T-shirts and youth size T-shirts. And besides the color you see in the picture, when you click on those, there's usually options for maybe 2 or 3 other colors that you can have them printed on. And then one of my favorites is the Sixes shirt. This comes in definitely a whole ton of different colors that you can get. So that's all the items on the Dice Throne store and everything that you can get at the moment. So I hope this helps, but also if you have more questions, definitely feel free to comment below, ask me. I will answer any questions that you have because I would love to see you be able to get into Dice Throne, and I want to be able to help you do that. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, keep rolling sixes.